Okay, an important part about learning how to navigate over land is one of our tools is a compass. We're going to talk about the compass that we use for cadets. It's the Suunto compass, and or I think we use the Weikle compass as well, but it's basically the same as the Suunto. Again, in the in cadets, we use mils rather than degrees on the Army side of the house because it is more accurate than degrees. So that's something to keep in mind. A mils compass is not as easily bought at Walmart or something like that. You have to go to a specialty store and or go to the Suunto site and actually purchase them over the internet. And they're fairly expensive. So we're going to talk also at the end about care and maintenance of your compass because you want to keep it usable. But first off, it's one thing to have a compass, and it's another thing to know how to use it. So we've got a poster on the wall going from A to, I don't know, RST, I think it is, and all of the functioning parts on the Suunto compass. So the first point we're going to look at is A. That is your sight. So where you take your bearing off of. You can sight your bearing from A. B is the compass cover. So this is the cover. When it's closed, it secures everything inside. That's your compass cover, B. C is the sighting mirror, or the actual mirror inside of the compass. D is the sighting line. So on the mirror, there's a black line that comes directly down the compass. That's your sighting line. A, B, C, D. E is your luminous index point. So that is where you set your bearing, and we call it luminous index point because at night it illuminates and it shows your direction of travel. F is your compass dial, and it rotates to line up the compass needle to take the bearing. So in other words, you can rotate this to different mils on your compass. It rotates. G is the dial graduations, and for mils it goes by up 50 mils each time. However, okay, this is kind of hard to explain. There are 6,400 mils on the compass dial, and because there's not enough room, all the longer dashes are another 100 mils. So if we're at 2,200 mils, this longer line here would be 100 mils, so that would be 2,300 mils. And then the next one says 24. The next longer line would be 25, if that makes sense. And the little dashes in between go up in 50s. Can you see that on the poster? Does that make sense? Good. Okay. H is your orienting arrow, and it's located inside the compass dial, and it's a reference that you line up with the magnetic needle. I is your roamers. This one is 1 to 25,000, and this one over here is a 1 to 50,000. So that's I and P. They're roamers, and they are on the compass so that when you work with your map, you can figure out based on what map scale it is, whether it's 1 to 25,000 or 1 to 50,000, which one of these use to figure out your grid bearings. And we've already done a lesson on 4-figure and 6-figure grid references, and you can use those roamers to find your grid reference. J, what is J? Is the compass plate, I believe. Base plate. So it's the clear plastic part of your plate, which has the compass dial on it as well as the scales. Where's K? K is your declination scale, and we will talk more about magnetic declination and what the purpose of that is at a later date. Okay, so we are at K. L is your orienting lines, or compass meridian lines they're called, and we use those along with a map to line things up in relation to your northings and your eastings, which we will talk about as well at a later date. But you can see on the compass where when you rotate your compass dial, they move, those black lines, and they are used to line up with grid lines on the map once again. M is the magnetic needle, and it swings freely in your compass. Can you see that? N are the two luminous orienting lines on either side of the red orienting line, or red arrow inside the compass dial. O, where's O? This one is a luminous index point as well, and that's where we typically take a back bearing off of. So let me back up here a little bit. When we're taking a bearing, our direction of travel goes through the sighting arrow here. So when we set a bearing at this luminous point, that's our direction of travel. If we wanted to go backwards from that, from our direction of travel, so from our direction of travel is from point A to point B. If we want to go from point B back to point A, then we would read our what's commonly referred to as a back bearing, and we would read it off of here, this luminous index point. P we've already talked about. It's the 1 to 50,000 roamer. Where's Q? Q is the cord attached to your compass. R is your wrist adjustment So you can take your, pardon me, this wrist adjustment, and it we've got a knot here so I can't show you, but it's so you can put it around your wrist and tighten it if you need to. S is your key to change your magnetic declination on the back of your compass. So S right here. And again, we'll talk about magnetic declination and the importance of setting the proper declination on your compass at a later date. But in order to adjust it, you turn to the back of your base plate. There's a little screw right here, and it will move these little lines inside, and that's your declination inside there, either east or west, and they are in degrees, both on a degrees compass and a Mills compass, because it's in regards to your map work. So it's always in degrees, and they go up in increments of 2, I believe. Let me double check that, into the compass, and that reflects the time of year,